It's in keeping with the trusty adage, starve a cold, disgust a fever.
A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away.
So the second quarter earnings report came out for Disney. And obviously, if you look at the stock price, it didn't go over well on Wall Street. Despite the boffo attitude of Iger and the CFO, it appears that Wall Street isn't buying it. Streaming profits were up, but they're still not where they need to be. Okay. And this is going to require a little more research for me to actually explain it better, but they started at 116 today. And it was there like that before the stock markets opened. And they dropped to 106 within minutes. I mean, they started dropping 8%. So you got to ask, what was the reason behind putting this out there before the stock market opened? We thought there was going to be a great big announcement where they were going to announce the new CEO's name, maybe perhaps a studio head change. But instead they talked about basically leaning on sequels in the animated stuff because the marketing, it kind of markets itself. So there's a cutback. And of course, Marvel, they're not going to release more than 3 movies and 2 shows per year, which I think seems excessive. I'd say 1 movie a year and do it well. And if you have to do 2, do them both well. And get your A-team, get 2 different versions of your A-team to do them, because that's just, to me, it makes everything new and relevant. But again, it's cutting back for quality, not quantity. And there's a lot he didn't say about a lot going on right now at Disney. He talked about, like he did, he talked about the animated stuff basically going into sequels because the marketing's cheaper. And concerning Marvel, that was really the only studio Iger mentioned. I do believe he mentioned Pixar, but nothing about Lucasfilm. Nothing. Big goose egg. Silence. And it kind of makes you wonder why. And we'll go into that in greater detail, because that's where I think they've already got a mission on how to fix it. They've really dropped back production there. But he did say something interesting that I want to talk about.
I thought one just drew a pentagram on the floor and chanted, "I summon thee," 3 times.
And that's what all of Maris's friends think, too? All those country club snobs who would kill for a good piece of dirt on someone?
What are you talking about? If her family money didn't come from timber, where did it come from? Urinal cakes?
I don't believe this. All these years.
The doyenne of Seattle's elite, looking down her nose at everyone in sight. She owes it all to this. She's managed to have her urinal cake and eat it, too. Hello, Martha. Like to speak to Maris. Oh, why not? Ah. She's in the final level of her guru's serenity training, the week-long vow of silence. Day 6. No, Marta, that's all right. She doesn't have to come to the phone. Just give her this message. I've flushed out her family secret. Hello, Maris.
So, didn't talk about Lucasfilm. Iger didn't say a word about Lucasfilm. Nothing, not a zippo. He didn't say anything about any of the new streaming shows like Andor and Skeleton Crew. He said nothing about The Acolyte. He said nothing about a Rey movie, because there isn't one. And he said nothing about the Mando and Grogu movie. But he did say this, and I'm going to paraphrase as best I can. There's a lot of stuff coming out that is stuff left over from the more is better years, okay? And if you look at Lucasfilm was never quite as, I don't know how to say this. They didn't put out as much as Marvel. But what they did put out is good. Mandalorian 1 through 3 is okay. Kenobi, Ahsoka, kind of fine. Boba Fett, but there's a lot wrong with it. Okay. And I think The Acolyte and Andor not being mentioned is some of the, when a person's constipated and everything, the first initial moment is it hurts really bad and it comes out and then all the other, then there's just, it doesn't stop. That's what's going on here. This is the final squeeze from the Kennedy group. You've got Leslie Headland. I mean, look, the Acolyte trailer, the second one, 63% dislikes. I mean, truly, this is urinal cake season at Lucasfilm. But in order to clean up what's going on there, they have to do it. Now, again, I said this morning in my last live, we don't know what's going on at the animation department at Lucasfilm because, again, episodes 1 through 3 of Tales of the Empire was good. Episode 4 through 6 was like a dance through stupidity and wokedom. But again, the fact is, I have people who watched it in Spanish telling me that the pronoun issue that they do have in Spain and in other Spanish-speaking countries did not appear in that language. So it was basically put in strictly for English speakers, so why? Okay. And again, there were no big announcements, no CEO announcement, no changes in studio heads. We still have the silent but deadly visual of Kathleen Kennedy because her name has not been removed. Regardless if she's still there or not, her presence is felt just by her name being president of Lucasfilm. And until they actually come clean, they won't be able to, they can't fix it. They can't appear to be like they're fixing it, okay? Now, Iger, when he talked about quantity being cut back, quality being uplifted, he's not just talking about Marvel. He's talking Pixar, Disney Animation, Walt Disney Studios, and Lucasfilm. Because Lucasfilm had the worst of all of them. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny did terribly. I mean, it was... Again, Kathleen Kennedy should be embarrassed. You know, and they lost $148 million on it. Oh, I guarantee you they lost a lot more. And yet, nobody wants to talk about what's being done to fix the problem at Lucasfilm, even though something is being done. And the reason why is because, for some reason, they're afraid of it, afraid of the chaos that had ensued last summer becoming public knowledge, and yet it is. Okay. I mean, look, this company's being sued by both Gina Carano and a outdoor gear company up in Duluth, Minnesota, because of her stupid decision making. Okay? Now, I think Gina will come back. I disagree strong. I mean, look, I don't care if you talk to her every day, all right? What she said at the Philadelphia Fan Convention is pretty obvious that she's willing to work out a deal with Disney to come back to Star Wars. And honestly, she should. And other things are indicative that they're, I think, maybe preparing to get her there. There was a Gina Carano figure on sale at one of the Disney exclusive clubs, and it was sold out immediately. The Cardoon figure was gone. So we know that she's a value asset to a very wounded franchise. The problem is this idiot right here, and I do mean idiot. You don't know what to think. We know that she can't be fired for cause, even though, and that's Bob Iger's fault. You look at him and go, let me get this straight. You renewed that contract. Every time it was coming due, you renewed it because you made $1 billion. You didn't go, can we renegotiate? You know, if you're the head of Disney, you're the CEO, you should be able to control the studio heads when they're off reservation and fucking up. And obviously by Kennedy's behavior last spring at Star Wars Celebration, Iger could only, close the Star Wars Hotel, cancel Willow, have Steven Spielberg embarrass her in front of all of Hollywood, and then suspend her from coming on campus and off of the Lucasfilm network until she was gone, or until they got everything they needed off of her emails. Okay? I mean, it's like you're looking at this going, find some, because she can't be fired for a morals clause. I think taking money from other projects, which is basically, in my opinion, reallocating it to the Acolyte, and they still didn't have enough. Even if they did that, they didn't have enough. I mean, when you've got people going, we don't know where the money's coming from, and then you look at the cheap-ass way that Andor was filmed, you look at some of the low production values of some other things, you suddenly start realizing, yeah, they probably did take money, but they still didn't have enough. They spent, I think, $50 million on filming The Acolyte. I would say they probably pulled out maybe $20 million, and maybe some of that was discretionary money that Kennedy had available to her. The rest of the money came from someplace shady, okay, because we're talking Leslie Headland here. No stranger to human trafficking. No stranger to the underworld. And I don't mean, smuggling contraband to rebels in Albania. I mean human trafficking, drugs, illicit, all kinds of shit, and blackmail, you name it. So you're going, if you know she did that, Kennedy, why don't you fire her? And this is the conundrum. Okay? Can it be out there that Kathleen Kennedy was fired for any of that? What would it make Disney look like? These are the things we have to think about. I just look at it like this. You hired Leslie Headland. She's literally the worst human being in the world. All right. Why? There was no thought behind it. In my opinion, Leslie Headland laid down with dogs and got fleas all over her. Okay? You lay down with dogs, you get fleas. That's Headland in a nutshell. She has a stink of Harvey Weinstein all over her, and she learned at the feet of the master. But there was nothing about Lucasfilm. We're still in a we're waiting mode for something to be said. And that's where it is. But I think having the earnings call this morning instead of later this afternoon was the wrong move. If you're not going to announce a big personnel change or acquisition or something like that, you don't do the earnings call before the bell rings at NASDAQ, at the stock exchange, at the New York Stock Exchange, because you're going to lose your ass. And right now, Disney's losing its ass. So basically, that's all I got. It was a nothing burger. This is Steph signing out. I'll see you around the galaxy.